Hey everyone, can you guys hear me? The main question.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes.
Hi Amanda.
Hi.
Hi Karen.
Good morning, Professor. How are you?
I'm good, and you guys?
Morning.
Good morning. Let's see. Justin, Nicholas, Rebecca.
Hello.
That was nice. We can practice doing it in unison. All right. Okay, is my sound okay? Not that you just hear me, but that you can hear me well.
I can.
Oh, thank you, Rebecca. Rainy,
Hello.
can you hear me well?
Yes.
All right, fantastic. All right, we will wait 2 more minutes for everybody to join us. So how was the first week of classes? Let's not all chime in simultaneously. Justin, can you tell us how your first week went?
Just I'm still getting the flow, just some assignments, just finishing up all the assignments and all that. So, not
Right.
much.
Well, as long as you start feeling comfortable, that's, I think,
Yeah.
the whole point of week one, not just this class, but any classes to get you acclimated. Right. All right. Nicholas, how about you? How was your first week?
Not bad. Just still getting used to how things go. But it looks like it's going to be a good semester.
All right. That's nice to hear.
Yeah.
We might as well do our best under the circumstances.
Of course.
All right. Julia, what about you? How was your first week? Julia? Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay, we have a bunch of things that we will do. Let's start with me sharing some notes with you of the things that are coming our way. All right. Share. Let's get that out of the way. Let's make it larger. Okay, and larger. All right. So, we can start with a few logistical moments. Now, you guys, if you just have a plain question and not simultaneously, you can just unmute yourself and say you have a question, or you can raise your hand. I have to change the setting, but not immediately. Okay, so I don't want you to sit and wait until I perhaps give you a moment to ask questions. Ask them as we go, okay? All right, there are 2 people who provided me with documentation for reasonable accommodation for the course. I will definitely take care of that. Unfortunately, like I mentioned in my message to you before, guys, I was traveling, so I could not really hold a synchronous optional, as you remember, synchronous lecture on Tuesday, which means everything else was also pushed back in my life. So after today's class, I started doing it today in the morning because I was up already at 5. It's a 7-hour difference between the place where I was in New York and I just came back last night. So I'll take care of all of that. I'll look at the blogs, I'll credit everything that I need to do, and I'll take care of accommodations. So the 2 people who sent me the documentation, don't be upset. I'll take care of you very soon. Promise to do it no later than this weekend. Okay, that's point number 1 on that note list of mine. Number 2, as you know, for the purposes of financial aid, we have to document your participation in the class. Well, they call it verification of enrollment. Okay, so now here is a message from Julene Robinson, who is our associate registrar, and the stuff from her message is in blue. So she says students must participate in a minimum of one academically related activity in order to be marked as attending. Academically related activities include, but are not limited to, submitting an academic assignment, taking an exam, quiz, an interactive tutorial on computer-assisted instruction, participating in an online discussion about academic matters, participating in discussions boards, assessing pre-recorded and digital curriculum materials, whatever that means, initiating contact with a faculty member to ask course-related questions. Now, and here's a little note, logging into an online class is not enough by itself to demonstrate participation in an academically related activity by the student. So this verification of enrollment is due on September 15th. That means we have 2 more weeks for you guys to do something if you haven't done so. All right. The things that you could have done that you did, let's put it this way, this past week until today included your practice quiz, which is ungraded, just for you to learn how these how these quizzes work. Then there was a self introduction, and I'll come back to that in a minute. And also a few activities that you could do in the activities folder within the week. I didn't put it out because it becomes very cumbersome. You sort of duplicate things here and there, and I'm not sure that that's helpful. There's also, remember, number 5, which is reading articles in cognitive psychology. There will be 1 article per week. There was 1 article for this week. Was it 1 for this week? Maybe not. Maybe the one that's coming. So any of those activities count as your academic attending, so to speak. So if you have done any of these things, you're fine. You're done with this piece of requirements for the course, for the college. But if you haven't, now is the time for you to do one of these several things. People had questions, emailed me, and I tried to respond. Again, apologies for maybe being a little delayed this time because I was away. From this point on, I'll be available to you anytime. In the course syllabus, which I don't want to share right now, but you will see I've changed the option for the office hours because that's what the college would like us to do. So now there is an actual Zoom link for office hours, which will be, in my case, from 1 until 4 p.m. today, that is on Thursdays. But again, like I said before, basically all of us, we are online all of the time. If you would like to chat with me about anything, including the activities for the class, if you're not sure, you're confused, that's fine. You can email me and say, can we meet at such and such time, and I'll send you a Zoom link and we can, the 2 of us could talk. You can also do the same once we start working through the lab reports, which you have 3. If you and your partner have a question and you would like to discuss it together, again, just either join me between 1 and 4. For this, you don't need any special email messages. You just join, I'll be there, and we can talk, or you can say, let's chat on Friday, whatever, and I will be there. Okay. Is everybody okay? So if you're not okay, if all of that is, you need more information, just write something in the chat saying, can you answer this question, or that question. And then in general, and chat would be a good place for you guys to ask a question. I will monitor the chat just to make sure that I see something. Do the blogs count? For your participation, Rebecca, that is, you have 50 extra points, well, not extra, but 50 points for participation that you can accumulate. And blogs count for that. So each entry in the blog is 1 point, but remember there is a restriction, the upper, well, let's say the lower restriction on the blog length. That is, you have to write something that's at least 200 words. Otherwise, you know, it's not very substantial. You can respond to somebody else's blog as well. Again, let's get back to that in a few minutes, because I think there may be, we maybe need to learn how to use blogs more than just me telling you go use a blog. All right. Now, because of the flexibility in this week, in the past week, we have a few new people who joined us. Let me see if these people are here. Okay, so the first one is Lana. Lana, could you unmute yourself? And if you have a video, could you please turn it on?
Hello, Professor. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but let's see if I can see you. That would be more interesting. Right. Did you turn your?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I unmute and I turn on the camera.
Okay, good. So maybe you are somewhere at the bottom. All right, give me a second. Sometimes, well, let's unshare so we can see everything. Okay, good. Yes, Svetlana, now I can see you. Please, because you're just joining the class, could you please tell us a few words about yourself? You know, things that will help us learn who you are.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Professor. Again, my name is full name Svetlana, short name Lana Siburova. I'm a new transfer student. I just registered recently, and I was graduated from Kingsborough College, chemical dependency counseling major. I'm really interested in psychology because I had experience working in a substance abuse field. And then I felt that it really belongs to psychology, and that's I decided to take my BA in psychology. I'm sorry. My interest, if you would like to know a little bit about me, I'm interested in. I play the piano. I like the music. I speak 4 or 5 languages, which is Russian, Bulgarian, Polish, Lithuanian, and English as well. And I play the piano, and I said that I'm really interested in pretty much in psychology. That's why I admitted to CSI, and I choose that major. And I'm happy to be here. I know it's not maybe gonna be easy for me, but I will try to do my best, and I'll try to work hard. Thank you.
Fantastic. We'll do our best too, Svetlana, to help you.
Thank you.
And if you have any language issues, you and I can speak Russian and leave everybody behind. Okay, thank you. Let's see, there's 2 more people. Noor, you are also a new person. Could you, so Svetlana, you can mute yourself and turn the camera off if you would like to. Noor, you can now unmute yourself, and if you have a camera, put it on so you can introduce yourself to the class. No camera, Noor? Hello? Okay, Noor, are you speaking to us and we don't hear you? Is that the case? Type something in the chat so we know that you are here. Sorry, Professor, my mic and camera are not working. Okay, Noor, then you will have to prepare the self-introduction and post it so we can find out who you are. Okay, good. And the last person on my list is Diamond. Are you with us, Diamond? Okay. I see. So, Isaac, the Tuesday lecture is posted in weekly schedule 1, September 1, 3, and it's called lecture. So you should just click on that and you should be able to find it. Okay, good. Let me go back to the notes. Share. Good. So Noor should be with an E, right? So we have introduction from Lana. Noor cannot introduce. Noor, I'm sorry to ask you that question. Should I refer to you as he or him? Can you please type that answer in the chat? Okay, at some point you will. All right, our next little bit, her. Oh, okay. Thank you, Noor. So Noor, you will have to introduce yourself later on using the self-introduction link in the blogs. All right, the library update. So as you know, physically the library is closed, but it's not closed otherwise. So you can actually chat with the librarian, and here is the link. I'll post all of these things for you on Blackboard, but just in case you want to get that earlier. The reason why you would need the library is because when you write your 3 lab reports, 1 every month, you will need access to the literature. Not like you need 10, but you may need 1 additional article to the one that I have already posted. And of course, we have wonderful digital databases in the library, and the ones that you will need for our class are PsycInfo, perhaps Academic Search Premier, and Science Direct. These are the 3 that list original research articles in psychology, in our case in cognitive psychology. So if you go through these, Noor, yeah, sure. Yes, we can certainly do that. Give us a second. You are connecting. Okay, good. Let's do that. I'll stop sharing. All right, go ahead, Noor. There you are. Okay, you need to unmute yourself. Audio is still connecting. Unmute. Unmute. Go ahead, say something. Can anybody hear Noor? Because I can't. Again. No. Okay. Noor, there is something with your settings still that you'll need to check. Okay, so why don't you continue checking until you get your audio working, and then we'll come back to you, okay? Back to our... All right, so here is the link for you for student services that you could, if you haven't taken, for whatever reason, a library instruction class, you may need a refresher with the library. Again, you can always ask me, and we will perhaps look at some of the things. There are tutorials available to you at the library. So there are things you can do. And if you have a question, not just about something for this class, but for any other class, this idea, live connection, live chat with the librarian is excellent. It works beautifully. So you can live chat with the librarian and say something, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do, share your assignment, and they will help you with that. So Noor, say something. Not yet. Okay, good. Next, this is just all the stuff that is coming our way. You probably have heard about these things in other classes. Doesn't hurt to repeat. We will be able to provide you with the writing tutoring services, which is actually very good because you'll have to write your little short lab reports. So here's the link. Again, I will post all of that and you will be able to click on that link and schedule an individual appointment with a tutor who will help you get through a written assignment. Okay. Next, finding 5. Raphael, I think you were the one who tried to access finding 5, right? Uh-huh. And you didn't know the access code, is that correct? Good. So here is the, I'll post it in the chat as well, if I can get my mouse to work. These are the things you need to know. All right, so in the chat, you can see the finding 5 link for this particular experiment. There will be 2 more links for the other 2, but they will be coming your way in October and in November. I actually have to program the other 2 experiments. I haven't done that yet, but I will. So for now, remember your deadline is September 15th. This is for your data collection only, so don't panic. The actual lab report is not due until October 1st. So for now, all you have to do is click on that link and go to the experiment, which is called PSY288 experiment 1 soup effect. And the access code is PSY288_1. It's going to be the same, probably the same one, or maybe it's going to be, the 1 will change to 2 for the experiment. For experiment 2 and to 3 for experiment 3, but I don't know. All of that is posted in the Blackboard in the section 3, finding 5. So I guess we could do that too. Let's see if I can go to that right from here. Maybe not. Maybe not. Oh yes, I can. Oh, wonderful. So I'm going to log in as me, accept all of that. So I assume that you guys can see my screen, right? If you don't see it, say something in the chat. Do you need a password, Justin? You have to create an account. Yes, once you create an account, you will need, okay, thank you, Nisreen. So you can all see that. So you follow that link. The consent form is just 1 line saying that you consent to participate, because it's not really data that we will be using for anything except for you guys to write your lab report. You see the Word document. Oh, okay. So let's unshare and come back to that. If you see the Word document, that's not good. Now let's try this. Share. There we go. Okay, how about now? Can you see the finding 5? Oh, good, everybody, fantastic. All right, as you can see, here is at the top, there is an account. When you first log in, it will say, register, and the registration is just your name, your email address. I think that's it. I don't think they're asking anything else. It's completely free. It doesn't cost you a penny. And this is a link that leads you to this particular experiment. Okay, so you will have to read the consent form. Like I said, the consent form is just 1 line. Then you're going to go through the experiment, which will take, I would say, about 15 minutes, maybe a little shorter. It's not particularly difficult. Once you participate, when you participate, the first question will be for you to type in your name. So when I get the results, I'll see your name. So that's all you need to do. You don't need to send me a separate email message. You just have to do it in the next 2 weeks. Again, any issues, you will have to let me know, and I will fix whatever issues you may have. As you can see, this little orange line on the left says that there is one person who did that, and there's 23 of you still waiting to participate. Who did that? Who already has done the experiment? Jeffrey, the access code is PSY288_1. Yes, thank you, Rainey. That's the access code. It's posted on the Blackboard, but here it is in the chat. All right. Remember, you have to finish it in one setting, so don't start doing the experiment when you're busy. And please, it's important for any cognitive experiment, do not do anything else simultaneously with it, like, you know, listening to the music or typing in or watching TV, whatever. It has to be done in a quiet environment for the experiment to provide us with good results. Any other questions about finding 5 at this point?
Oh, yeah, Professor. You know, in the chat, I said that I signed in without a password. They gave like an option where you could create a password or log in with your Google account. So I logged in with my Google account and I have the same page. So.
Oh, fantastic. Yes, I forgot. Thank you. Yes, there is a way to sign in through something else. So you could do that. But remember, you'll need to do 2 more experiments. So perhaps if you, it will maybe easier for you to do with this new registration. But thank you. Absolutely. Now, another thing I'm just thinking about it, I realized, hey, why not? You guys could perhaps choose another experiment to participate, not necessarily the 3 that you have to do for the class. Because remember, you have a bunch of activities that you are required to do, which will give you 50 points. So I don't know, let me click on the regular finding 5 and see if the screen share will continue. And I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, do you see the new screen now, or do you still see the one for, you see the new screen, Irene? Yes?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, perfect. All right, so you can see there is a bunch of experiments available for people. Show more, there may be more. Okay. So there is social judgment task. That's not very cognitive, but not still. Here is the 3 experiments, co-activation experiment test. I think a few of you said that you were Spanish speakers as well, so you could do that. Well, it's a little longish, it's 45 minutes. You can see that each experiment gives you a time estimate, and some of them do have cash reward, but not too many. So if you do an experiment like this, your free time, you can post an entry in your blog, in your individual blog, describing the experiment and perhaps trying to connect it to the stuff that we study in cognitive psychology, if you can. So I'm flexible in terms of what kinds of things you could do. Obviously, I'm posting some activities for you, but there are other things that you can do. I'll be happy to. See if you can perhaps get something that's more cognitive than social, but that's not too bad. Okay, good. Any other questions that you may have about finding 5 at this point? Okay, good.
Did they explain to us after what they were doing?
They should be usually a debriefing form. However, it's not required. So if you are doing an experiment like this, you may have to try to figure out what it's about. I mean, you can describe the task. You can maybe describe 1 or 2 or whatever examples from the experiment and see if you can connect it to cognitive psychology. If there is debriefing, that'd be great. Debriefing will actually give you all the information, but again, it's not required. All right, good.
Thanks.
Let's go back to the notes, finish them. Here we are. Share. All right, so that's finding 5. Next on my short list of things that we need to start with is your self-introductions. Now, from what I can see on my end, but remember my end is different from yours, I see 15 entries. So let me stop that and go to, okay, good. Let's go to blogs. And I'll share with you the screen for the blogs. And you'll tell me if somebody's having issues with that. Okay, share again, chat. Can I explain the activities section? Sure, we'll do that. Just remind me, Nora, in a few. Okay, where are we? Here we go. All right, so now I'm sharing with you the Blackboard, and this is the self-introduction blog instructions. Okay, so this is how I access your blogs. I'm not sure whether you can do the same way, so you guys might help me. Karen, I think you were the person who managed to comment on some of them. Maybe you, after me, maybe you can share with us how you did that. All right, so so this is the list. It may be a little small for you guys. This is the list of the self-introductory blogs that I have access to: Amr, Ari, Bishoy, Brandon, Denise, Jeffrey, Justin, Karen, Leroy, Melissa, Nicholas, Nisrian, Raphael, Rebecca, and Simon. Is anybody else who created your self-introduction but didn't manage to post it? Raise your hand or say something. Okay, I posted a PowerPoint, Amanda, but I think I posted in the wrong part of the blog. Where did you post it, Amanda? Do you remember?
I'm looking right now to check where I posted it, because I definitely posted it, but I think I posted it on just the regular blog instead of the one that was specific.
I see. So maybe what you could do is repost it into the self-introduction section, okay?
Yes.
Karen, do you mind, let me actually, maybe I don't need to share that, but Karen, can you tell us how you managed to see other people's self-introductions?
Yes. So what I did was right where, hold on one second.
I can let
That's
you
fine.
share the screen with us if
Sure.
you like. Give
Sure.
me a second.
Absolutely.
Oh, come on, thing. Security, share. Allow participants to share screens. Okay, Karen, try now.
Sure. Okay.
There's a button called the share screen.
Yes. Do you see my screen?
Yes, we do.
Okay,
At
great.
least I do.
Okay, so I went to individual blogs.
Uh-huh.
And then I went to participants here and I picked somebody. And right under what they posted, you can just click the comment section and then write a comment.
Fantastic. So
I think I did that for a few people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did, and as well as in the introduction section.
So you did the same. You went to
Same,
self-introduction and you used the little arrow on the right. Okay.
That's right. So I
Fantastic.
think I don't know, I think I commented on Rebecca's. Yes. So I commented on Rebecca's and that's all I did.
And perfect. Thank you so much. So
okay, no problem.
You can stop sharing the screen now. Okay, guys.
Thank you.
If you have any issues, now you see how it should be done. So what I would need you, so at this point I have 15. Once Amanda transfers hers, is going to be 16. And we have now 25 people in the class. This, it's not an assignment. This introduction is not limited by time, so you can do it anytime. The reason why you need to do it is because today, we'll see. We should start creating groups. And the correct spot, but I didn't realize it had a separate part. Okay, good. One thing that I need to know is that would be helpful. If you could, each of you could tell us whether you have taken PSY201, which is Foundations of Research Methods, because that is the course that's useful, or not even useful, but necessary to write in correct APA style. So let me just, I'll call you. Okay, good. Good. Jeffrey, Amr, Julia, Leroy. I'm looking at those who have taken it. Raphael, okay. Keep typing whether you have taken 201 or not in the chat. I'm looking. Rebecca, Svetlana, Bishoy. Okay, good. Taken what? Isaac, 201 class, research methods. Karen, okay, good. All right. Okay, so Isaac, okay, good, good. So I think more people actually have taken it than not, so we are in better shape. So what would be nice is to maybe already somebody who has seen the self-introductions, somebody has already identified the person he or she would like to work with. All right, so I am trying to start the list. So let me go back to my notes. Here we go. So I, for example, suggested that Raphael and Karen might be a group. What do you think, Raphael and Karen? Would you like to
Yeah, that
pair up?
works great. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, Raphael is happy. Okay, good. Anybody else who has seen the blogs or watched the introductions, short introductions that we had on Tuesday last week? Anybody who could name a partner that he or she would like to partner with? Now we have 25 people, so we would need to have at least 12 groups. Julia and Denise, fantastic. And Denise, good. Anybody else? It would be nice if one of you in the pair had 201. It will be a little bit easier with APA style. Okay. I will unshare now and talk to you. Stop. Okay, Amanda, do you have somebody in mind?
I'm fine to work with anybody. I took 201 already, so if you want me to work with somebody who hasn't taken it already, that's fine with me.
Somebody who hasn't taken a 201 who would like to pair with Amanda. Identify yourself. I can, Nisrin. So you would like to work with Amanda? Okay, fantastic. Good. So Amanda, I'm just now writing in my notes, not on the screen, with Nisrin. Okay, good. Nisrin. Let's see. Nicholas, who would you like to pair with?
I don't know. So at least some, because I didn't do 201 yet, so.
Okay, somebody who has taken 201 who would like to work with Nicholas. Okay, so no 201, yes. I can, okay, but Lana, you didn't take 201 either. I can see that from your chat sentence. So you're not going to be a good partner if you haven't. Okay, so wait. Somebody who has taken 201. Now remember, there's still a possibility, first of all, to switch partners after the first lab report into the second one. Sure. Isaac, so would you like to work with Nick? Okay, So Nick and Isaac, you are the next group.
Sounds good.
Uh-huh. Let's see. Let's see. Irene, who would you like to work with?
I'm fine to work with anybody.
Uh-huh. Have you taken 201?
Yes, I have.
Okay, good. So, Lana, would you like to work with Irene?
Yes.
Okay, good. Irene and Lana, you are going to be the next group. Rebecca, your thoughts on a partner? I haven't taken 201, but I'll work with whoever. Okay, so Rebecca is flexible. Who would like to work with flexible Rebecca? Melissa, have you taken 201? No, you haven't. Okay, so no, that's not going to work for us. Jeffrey, have you taken 201? You did. Okay, Rebecca and Jeffrey, you're going to be the next group, and I'll give you the numbers once. Are you taking it right now? It's perfect, actually. Yes, it's going to be very fresh in your mind. Okay, good. Let's see. Amr, what about you? Who would you like to work with? You took it. Okay, good. So who hasn't and who would like to pair up with Amr? Amr is thinking about physical therapy. Is that correct, Amr? Yes, good. Anybody else who is interested in physical therapy or any kind of professional degree, professional training beyond psychology? Amr would be a great partner for you. All right. Who is left? I don't mind who I work with, but I have speech problems. Right. Amr, I think Leroy is great, and I think speech problems is not a problem if you can, see each other. Why don't you, if both of you agree, why don't you guys partner up? Okay, good. So Amr and Leroy are going to be the next. All right, Bishoy. Now your choice is now smaller.
Can I work with Brandon?
Brandon, Brandon, are you with us?
I don't know if he's here or not, but we talked and we agreed on that.
Oh, okay, good. All right, so we'll Bishoy and Brandon. Okay, good.
Thank you.
Brandon, sure. Even if one of you doesn't have 201, I mean, we can live with that. All right. Noor, how's your mic? Does it work now? Okay, while Noor is thinking, who is left who hasn't been assigned to a group? So let's see. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. Me. Okay, Melissa, you. Okay, Melissa, then because you and Noor are the only two people, why don't the two of you form a group? Hopefully Noor will introduce herself once her mic issue is solved. So Melissa and Noor.
Professor, can you hear me?
Okay. Yes. Yeah, I can hear you. Yes. Perfect. Can you, do you have a camera? Can you, yeah, you had a camera a minute ago. Why don't you turn your camera on? Now we can hear you. Let's do a little intro. There you go. Fantastic, Noor. Tell us a little bit about yourself so that Melissa knows who she'll be working with. And we all will also learn about you.
Okay, so I'm a sophomore. I'm 19 years old, and I'm currently studying to be a nurse.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I'm from the Middle East. I speak Arabic. And is there anything else you guys want to know about me?
A couple of fun facts.
I like to listen to music and I like to read on my free time. Yeah.
Which you have a lot, right?
Yeah. It's nice to meet you guys.
Okay, Melissa, yes? Okay, good. Okay, Melissa is happy. Right, so who else is left? Thank you, Noor. Now you can turn your camera off if you don't want to use it. Justin, you are left. Okay, Are you the only one? I'm just counting. A second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There's got to be a few more people, but perhaps they're not in class today. Actually, while I'm doing this, let me take the attendance, which means I will just call your name and you should unmute yourself and say something like here or hi or whatever you want to say. Let me just open up my syllabus and go to, okay, Justin.
I'm here.
Good, thank you. Michal. As one person who is missing. Denise. Okay. Brandon. Right. Melissa.
Here.
Very good. Jeffrey.
Here.
Good. Julia.
Here.
Good. Noor just talked to us, so you don't need to say anything. Karen, you talked to us, but very good.
Thank you.
Parker. Right. Ari. Leroy.
Here.
Thank you, Leroy. Simon. Diamond. Lanaman. Okay. Nick.
Hello.
Good. Rebecca.
Here.
Okay, good. Amr.
Here.
Thank you. Raphael.
He said here in the chat.
Thank you. I'm not looking at the chat. Okay, good. If you're doing it in the chat, I'm not looking in the chat yet. All right, Lana, of course you're here. We talked to you.
I'm here.
Isaac?
Yeah, here.
Irene?
I'm here.
Good. Nisrin?
I'm here.
Bishoy?
Here.
Good. And Amanda?
Here.
Okay, very good. Perfect, guys.
Excuse me, Professor?
Yes.
I just got on because I didn't get an email. I put my email in the chat last time. And I didn't get
maybe.
an email. And then I looked
Brandon.
I looked on Blackboard and it said there was no synchronous class for today. It would start next week, 8 to 10.
I don't know what Zoom is doing, some strange things. I was editing some settings today and I kept putting in 10 a.m. and it kept changing into 11 a.m. Thank you, Brandon, for joining us. Let's see.
Because I didn't get an email.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure for next
The
time.
same link that we used a week ago on the 27th, Brandon, will be the same one for Thursdays. There will be a new link for Tuesdays, but only for the coming Tuesday. This Tuesday I was not around, so I couldn't. So Bishoy would like to work with you. That's okay,
fine.
right?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, good. So we have Justin, who is unpaired yet, and anybody else who joined us maybe now. No. Okay. So Justin, let's wait. Why don't you watch some of the self-introductions and see who might be of a good partner for you. A lot of people who speak Arabic. Yes, perfect. We could do something in with Arabic bilinguals. Good. Let me see if there is anything else that I need to share with you. Okay, good. No, we are done with that part. So before we move on to the remainder of the session, any other concerns or questions? I know that Noor asked me more about activities. I'll come back to that. But now is the good time for us to catch up on any logistics before we.
Professor, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
How are we gonna connect with our partners?
Excellent question. So what you should do is, like now in the chat, there is a button, right? You select your partner, and you can chat privately with that person, which means you should exchange your phone numbers. I assume your cell phone numbers, your emails, and then you'll be just able to set up your private conversations, whichever way you want to do it. You want to do it on the phone, you want to do it in Google Hangouts. Yeah, you can even do it on Zoom if you want. Okay, so you guys, while I'm getting ready for the second part, why don't you chat with your partner and exchange all the information. All I need from you is your email addresses. So if you haven't talked to me by email, or if you haven't sent me your email, you can still do it. Everything else is between you and your partner. All right. I'll give you a couple of minutes to do that. And while we switch to activities.
Excuse me, Professor?
Yeah.
I know you said the Zoom link was the same from the 27th, but I just want to make sure that you have my email. So if you send anything else, that I'll get it.
Okay, so Brandon, just put it in the chat so that I can get it from there. All right. So is anybody else having the same problem? You're not being able to see a choice of your partner's name in the chat. Yes, that's precisely what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to find your partner instead of using to everyone, click on that arrow and find your partner. But I don't know whether this is disabled for the participants. I'm the host, so I can see everybody. Is it available
I did
to?
it. You can do it.
Oh, okay, good.
It's not disabled, yeah.
It's not disabled. Perfect. Brandon, I see your email. Thank you. Good. So exchange your email information and cell phone numbers through the private chat to your partner. Okay. Let's see. I'm not going to go into the full slide mode because that's the lecture that you guys were supposed to listen to. That's the one that I would have given live on Tuesday if I were not traveling. So in the lecture, I had this. See if I can get to the next one. I had these instructions for you. If you see something in blue, it's the activity that you can do. And I can see in your individual blogs that there are 30 entries from different people. So some people have more than one entry. It's perfect. That's precisely what I would like you to do. We started with a little activity last time, and I asked you to perhaps choose one of these 4 statements. And so think about them, one of them, right? And then decide whether this is a confirmed fact from cognitive psychology or a myth. And I have asked you to post a 200-word description and the URL of your findings in your blog, and perhaps look at other people's work. So here's a question for you. Can anybody who has done this, remember all these activities are optional, anybody who has done this, share it with us in terms of just perhaps talking about it.
I didn't do it yet, but I have a quick question. Do all these activities that are optional have due dates? Because I know this one had a due date for today at like 4:30.
Right. All of them will be due so yes. So this is week 1. So what I need you to do is to finish these activities by actually the beginning of the class. So for week 2, which is coming, right? It's going to be Thursday, September 10th, 10 p.m. Yes, so you can't go back to them in week 10. So they have to be done in the week that we are studying this particular topic.
Okay.
So has anybody looked at extrasensory perception? Oh, okay. Rebecca says, I thought it was interesting to find out that the one about subliminal messages was a myth, because I always believed it was true. Rebecca, can you share with us how you went about doing this, how you found out that it was a myth?
I just Googled the statement and read a bunch of articles relating to it, and they all pretty much said the same thing. So I just summarized the evidence.
So do you believe now into extrasensory perception?
Well, I did the one about subliminal messages can persuade people to buy products.
Well, I don't know. Have you ever walked in a relatively unknown part of the city and suddenly you would sort of smell this wonderful fresh coffee? And it turns out it comes from some small little boutique store. And if you are a coffee drinker, smelling that coffee actually entices you to go into the store and perhaps even buy something. So that's a lot of people in the sort of marketing use this kind of stuff. Does it really work? So it's not just extrasensory perception, but it's also extrasensory persuasion, right? So it's not only that you perceive something, but you will actually act upon it. That's the main interesting point. All right, thank you, Rebecca. Did anybody looked at our memory and videotapes, video recorders?
Yes, I did.
Can you tell us a little bit how you went about doing this?
Yeah, sure. Let me just open up my document.
Mm-hmm.
I have saved. I'm sorry, just give me 1 second.
Sure.
I have right here. Okay. So I read this study from Northwestern University that said that this is actually a myth. And researchers found that memory actually rewrites the past with current information that you uphold now. And it starts updating your recollections with new experiences they quote, like to aid survival.
Mm-hmm.
So I found that very interesting. I actually never knew that. And then they state that, in fact, memory, researchers believe that memory is actually faulty and that our memories adapt to our ever-changing environment, which helps us deal with some of the situations that we encounter now.
Okay, that's very nice. Fantastic. Yeah, something like that would be an excellent way to write it in the blog. Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 4 is actually very easy. We know what's interesting about number 4, and that is most people use only 10% of their brain power. What's interesting about this is where it's coming from. Has anybody done number 4? Okay, so the problem here is to actually identify the source of this. It's sort of all over the place. If you look at the airline magazine, you'll see that, and then they'll advertise some kind of a training that you can take to increase your brain power. Now we know this is total BS. If we only were using 10% of our brain power, what's the other 90% for? Okay, great. So now let's finish this activity because there's the second part to that. Let me stop sharing. And let's see. Let's launch the second. So I'm gonna now launch the second part of the same poll. You will recognize at least one question from that. So your job is to, again, say true or false, and then we'll have a quick discussion on these statements. So I'm gonna launch the poll right now. All right, and you guys can participate.
Did we do this last week?
Is that the same from last week? Oh, wait a minute. Is it?
Yeah, that's the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
hold on.
there.
Thank you. I must have. So let me get rid of this one and start the second one. Oh, why aren't you showing me the second one? No. No sharing. I don't see the second one. What happened? Share the results. All right. Well, I'll have to look at it and see what went wrong with this. This was supposed to be 2 of them. Okay, no problem. Let's continue with other things that we can do. All right. Okay, there was this one. Let me see if it will switch. So one of the activities that I offered you to do during the lecture is to look at a very interesting chess match that happened last century between Deep Blue and Kasparov, who was then at the time the world chess champion. Does anybody play chess, by the way? I used to play. Jeffrey, what was your category? Did you ever reach a category? It's usually in letters, A, B, C, D, E, F. No. Okay. Nice, interesting game. Did anybody do this activity in the chess club? Okay. You did. Okay, Leroy, can you give us a short description of that?
Deep Blue is a computer that was programmed by IBM, and it played Kasparov In the first match, it lost. Kasparov won, but they had a rematch a year later, and Deep Blue was successful in defeating Kasparov. Kasparov claimed that IBM had cheated and won their rematch a year later, but was never granted a rematch.
Yeah, that's, when you are a chess champion, you don't want to lose. Thank you, Leroy. Yes, that's exactly how it went. So, Noor, coming back to your question as well, and from the beginning, you asked about activities. So every week, now I'm sharing with you the Blackboard screen. If you don't see it, say something in the chat. And if you do, then you don't have to say anything. Okay, I assume everybody can see that. So Noor, I'm now in a weekly schedule. So let me click on that again. And you're going to get all the classes based on the week timetable. So I have it until the end of October, and on most of them, the later ones don't have any stuff in them yet, because I will be posting things as we go, but certainly enough time before it's due for you. Now you're going to click on the week that we are in. So this is week 1. If you click on that, there will be a bunch of things that will change. So for this week, you had access to the first chapter of the textbook. Obviously, I try to elaborate on a few things in the textbook, but I try to go a little bit beyond the textbook, because otherwise, why the hell do you need my lecture if you can just read the textbook? So next one was your practice test, which is also posted in the quizzes. You remember the Blackboard calls them all tests. Here's your self-introduction. Here's the lecture. Somebody was asking where the lecture was posted. Isaac, was it you? So it's right here, lecture 1, chapter 1. And that's what I'm showing now, the slides. And here are the activities. So there will be such a folder for every week. So here is Deep Blue and Kasparov that Leroy just described for us. And now if you watch that 1997 there, it should be able to, it may be too small. You watched it. Okay, good. All right, so the kind of activity you can do is to watch that clip. Interesting, yes, I think so too, especially considering that that was 23 years ago. Imagine the artificial intelligence achievements now, these days. I don't know about you guys, but obviously I listen to various things that have to do with language and speech recognition. And even 10 years ago, whenever the iPhone was launched, was it 2007? Something like that. You would listen to Siri and Siri would listen to you. It was really bad. And now, 13 years later, if you have an iPhone or Samsung, they have something else, Bixby or whatever it's called, the digital assistant. Now the recognition, speech recognition is so much better. And the way these digital assistants talk is so much better. That's all basically in the same ballpark as the Deep Blue. It's artificial intelligence meant for language. Okay, good. The next thing that I asked you to do, if you were listening to the lecture, which of course is not required, that's only if you want to do that, was to, where is it? Show all windows. Huh? Study. Here we go. Alexa at home, yeah. But you know what the problem with Alexa is, Leroy, right? It is spying on you. It's recording everything you say every minute. Not that they actually know what to do with all of that, but they do have these issues. So the second part of the lecture was about the history, which is always the case in any kind of field in psychology. We want to know where it came from. And cognitive psychology has a very short history, really. It's only basically 150 years old, newer than many other areas of psychology. I asked you to perhaps play with Donder's subtraction method. And I hope when you were just raising your hand, no, we're just going through the activities, Justin, because that's what we will be doing in class. We won't be repeating the lecture, but we will be taught. Now I'm repeating a little bit because I wasn't doing it live for you guys. The reason why I wanted you to learn about Donders is because everything that you will be doing in terms of your lab reports is all about reaction time and accuracy. These are the two measures that cognitive psychologists care about. And I hope you noticed that when you raised your hand in the situation with one happy face, yellow, that was much faster than when you had to choose between the two. And that's the main point behind any cognitive psychology experiment. It's the difference between the control condition, just one yellow face, and the difference and the choice condition when there is an experimental item as well. So this is the experimental item, the two happy faces. One happy face is the control item. The difference in reaction time is what makes cognitive psychology go. Okay. Now, the most probably influential person in the early times of cognitive psychology was Wilhelm Wundt, who was a German psychologist. And his method in the 1870s was what is known as introspection. And I asked you to look at this painting and perhaps describe it using the method of introspection. Has anybody tried that activity? No? Okay, well, let's do it now. So let me put that in actual mode. So what I would like you to do is now remember, anything that we do in class that you would like to be available to me, therefore that could be an extra point if you haven't done anything else, is to do it in Google Docs. Or if you do it on your computer, then you can post it in your blogs. So here is this little activity that I would like you to do, is to try to describe this painting. And actually for now, we can do it in the chat using, let's use just 3 adjectives. So look at the painting and type in 3 adjectives in the chat that would describe the painting in your opinion. That's you using the method of introspection. That's a interesting silence. Are you guys there? Have you all left? Fancy and lost. Okay, that's 2. Spooky said gray. All right. Emotional, weird, mysterious, dark, sad, confusing, unsettling, dark, menacing, right? That's the title. Mm-hmm. Go on, there is a bunch of you. Creepy, yes, Rebecca. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Interesting, mysterious, curious, strange. Mm-hmm. So what should become clear to you is that the method of introspection is really not that good when you are observing a complex object. Now, if I were to show you just a plain piece of paper, you would say white, and you would say rectangular, you would say thin, and this is going to be exactly the same for all of you. But now when we are looking at an object that's much more complex than just a plain sheet of paper, there isn't much that you guys agree on. Yes, you say weird and mysterious. A few people said dark. Okay, but still, there's no way that we can really come up with a description that will fit everybody's comprehension or perception of this painting. And that's the problem with the introspection method. That's why we need something more than just observation. Okay, great. I've been to strange. Yes, I've been to the museum of René Magritte in Brussels. Karen says, I feel like it depends on how everyone else may perceive it. Some may think it's beautiful. Yes, could be. There are certain components of the painting that make us say that it is bizarre. The point is that plain observation in the form of introspection is not the best method to study the world, because the world is very complex. Okay. I also asked you to think of classical conditioning. That's a classic experiment. Actually, there's a series of experiments Pavlov conducted. And then I asked you to do an activity on classical conditioning from the blackboard. Let me stop sharing this. And can anybody discuss with us the first example? Pavlov's dogs, yeah. Mm-hmm. If those who have done this activity, or if you haven't, then we can do one of the three perhaps. I'm looking for Karen. Okay, good. Can you unmute yourself and read to us the first description?
Yes, the first one. Hold on, I'm opening it. Mm-hmm. I have a bunch of them. Okay, here it is.
Good.
So the first one says, every time a red light comes on, I put water in the bowl of a thirsty cat. In time, the cat learns to approach the bowl when the light comes on. Is this classical conditioning? I said that yes.
Good. Go. Okay.
Okay. I think I said yes, this is an example of classical conditioning, because the red light and the bowl are like two stimuli working together. And then when they are paired, the thirsty cat now knows that when the light comes on, the cat can drink the water from the bowl.
So what's the unconditioned stimulus here, Karen?
Yes, hold on. The unconditioned, wouldn't that be the cat learning to approach the bowl?
Well.
So that's the conditioned.
So the cat is thirsty, right?
Yes.
So if the cat is thirsty, what would the cat respond to?
The light coming on?
No. Think. It's not about anything else. It's just about
Okay.
what's in the cat's physiology. So what would cat do if the cat is thirsty?
It would want to go look for water.
Good. So water is going to be unconditioned stimulus, right?
Oh, okay. Okay, yes.
So what would be the conditioned stimulus then?
The water bowl, or how to retrieve the water?
Well, what happens then when the owner, whoever it is, who is retrieving the water, what is it paired with?
The light.
The light,
Ah,
yes.
Thank you, Bishoy.
So the light is going to be our conditioned stimulus, right?
Yeah, I understand.
Good. And who can answer the
Okay.
question, and it doesn't have to be Karen or Bishoy, what was the unconditioned response? That is, what does the cat do?
Drink the water.
Well, the cat is coming to the kitchen, right, to drink the water.
Right.
Good. And what's the conditioned response? It's actually very simple. It's the same
To
as
wait for the light.
well, we are not looking at things that happen before the action. What is the cat's conditioned response? So unconditioned, the cat is coming to the kitchen because that's where the water is. And what's the conditioned response?
Isn't it the cat reacting to the light before the owner gives her the water?
Well, but how is it manifested in the cat's behavior, Brandon?
Can you repeat that, please?
Okay, so my question is, we know that unconditioned response is cat coming into the kitchen, right? Because cat wants to drink and that's where the water is. Now the question is, what is the conditioned response?
Does it have to do with the owner giving?
No, it still has to do with the cat. So what does the cat do when cat is conditioned?
Does that have to do with the excitatory behavior?
Isaac, no, we're not going into any physiology. What does this is not a tricky question, guys. What does
it becomes thirsty every time it sees the light?
So it comes into the kitchen, right? Yeah. So the unconditioned response and conditioned response are the same. But in the unconditioned response, the cat comes for the water. In the conditioned response, the cat comes for the light, even though the water may not be available. So unconditioned stimulus and conditioned stimulus are different, but responses, unconditioned and conditioned, are the same. And that's what confused you. But we are always looking at behavior. Remember, this is classical conditioning. Okay, good. Who can do the second one? Who has done this activity? What was the second little vignette? We can ask Karen to read it to us again and do it together. Karen, why don't you read to us the second little story? You guys listen and try to identify US, unconditioned stimulus, CS, conditioned stimulus, and the two types of responses. Go ahead, Karen. Thank you.
Okay. This one says, every time a rat pushes a button, it gets fed. In time, it learns to push the button when it's hungry. Is this classical conditioning?
Thank you. Okay, people, your answer, yes or no? Is it classical conditioning?
I think it is, because the rat learns that, like, when they're hungry, they press the button, so they're expecting the food when they press the button.
Okay, so Nicholas thinks it is. Who else thinks this is classical conditioning?
I don't think it is.
Okay. So Leroy doesn't think so. Bishoy doesn't think so. Yes, Raphael. Raphael is correct. And it's not classical conditioning because it's operant conditioning. And there is a difference between the two. not necessarily that we need to go into that, but think about the kinds of, is the stimulus, the conditioned stimulus, is it coming from the environment? Or is
No,
it it's coming from the rat, right? When the rat acts on its world, right, it's operant conditioning. The rat learns the pairing, but it creates the pairing itself. Do you see the difference between the cat and the water that's being provided by the owner versus the rat that's pushing the button?
Yeah,
And that,
it's pretty clear.
good. Did we convince other people that this is not classical conditioning? All right, we will assume that you guys are listening to us. Karen, can I bother you for the third time to give us the third?
Yes, the third one says, to cure bedwetting, I put a pad under a child's mattress attached to an alarm that is rigged to ring when the pad gets wet. In time, the child learns to wake up before the alarm goes off. Is this classical conditioning?
Okay, so now I want everybody to type in the chat, yes or no. Not just people who have been working with us, but Noor and Lana and Amanda and Rebecca and Julia and Melissa, everybody. Please type in yes or no for the third. Good. Good. Good, guys. Yes. All right. Who can explain to us what are the four components in this example? Somebody who hasn't participated yet. Julia, would you like to tell us what the unconditioned stimulus is? Okay, no Julia again. Rebecca, would you like? Leroy, you're running ahead of the game. I'm asking, let's say, Rebecca, would you tell us what the unconditioned stimulus is? All right. I'm going to say the alarm ringing when he wet the bed. Now, Rebecca, think about it. Unconditioned stimulus is something that is innate to the organism, in this case to the child. Now, do you think that alarm is innate? In this case, it's the ring of the device. Would that be? Oh no, just him wetting the bed. Okay, Rebecca, push yourself a little bit further. When does it happen? When does a child wet the bed? When he's asleep. Right, that's you're answering the question as if it is about the environment. I'm thinking about, remember, the dog is hungry, the cat is thirsty. So I don't know, honestly. Okay, good, that's not a problem. Amr, what do you think? When he has to pee. Good. When does Irene, good, when does he have to pee? This case seems a bit confusing. Yes, and that's the way it's meant to be. People, that's a question to everybody, not necessarily Irene. When does the child or anybody have to pee? When the bladder is full, yes, Jeffrey. After a while, not peeing. Good. So there is a physiological environment, well, not environment, but physiological condition when your bladder is full and you have to pee. Good. So we identify the UC, right? So UC oh, I'm sorry, US, unconditioned stimulus, right? The unconditioned stimulus is the full bladder. All right, do we have, if this is classical conditioning, we have to have the conditioned stimulus. So what's the CS? What's the conditioned stimulus?
The alarm.
Okay, good, Irene. Yes, the alarm, perfect. All right, so now we are left with unconditioned response and, oops, if it is the case, unconditioned response. What are they? Are they the same or are they different?
They're different.
They're different, Bishoy. Okay, what are they?
Okay, so the the unconditioned is the child wetting the bed when the bladder is full, and the conditioned one is him waking up before the alarm goes off.
Okay, so the problem, the difficulty here is that the conditioned response and unconditioned response are not the same. So waking up and then running to the bathroom would be conditioned response.
Yeah.
And unconditioned one is basically peeing. So yes, everybody who said in the beginning that this is the classical conditioning were right. But this case is much more difficult to assess than the first one, okay? Because there are some differences that we were not familiar with in the first case. Okay, great.
Professor.
Yes.
Would it be appropriate if like somebody says that unconditional
Unconditioned.
Yeah, unconditioned stimuli is like unconscious because you don't really think about it before doing it.
Right, it's unconscious in the sense that it's a built-in, sometimes we refer to these as reflexes. It's very difficult to classically condition somebody on something that's not how should I put it? It's not typical, but it's not produced by the body. So we can classically condition fear. We can classically condition change in behavior by providing food, but it's very difficult to classically condition. Yes, Amanda, like little Albert, exactly. But it's very difficult to classically condition something that's not natural to us, some things that are artificial. I mean, you can, like little Albert's case, you can condition the child to be afraid of white, fluffy things, rabbits and rats and maybe even a coat. But it's almost impossible to classically condition somebody, the child, to be afraid of I don't know, like a ball. Because a ball by itself doesn't do anything that stimulates a reflection in us. When hunger and thirst and fear of moving things are naturally built in. That's why they're called reflexes. Okay? So Pavlov, with his idea of classical conditioning, and later on B.F. Skinner with his operant conditioning, are precursors to cognitive psychology. Okay. Where are we here? So that was another activity that I suggested you do. And then you guys mentioned little Albert. Who has done the little Albert activity? Who can give us the unconditioned stimulus in little Albert?
Didn't they like make loud noises every time he saw like a little stuffed animal?
So be precise. So what's the unconditioned stimulus? Is it the loud noise? No, think about it.
Like being scared? Is that it?
Well, you need the stimulus, right, to get scared.
Would it be like the animal, the fluffy animal?
Right. It would be an animal, a rat,
Yeah,
or what else did they have? They had a rabbit, right? A rabbit,
a rabbit and like a white mouse or something.
a white mouse, and maybe a coat. So you could, the unconditioned stimulus would be, of course, is it produced by environment? No, it was produced by the experimenters, but it is in the environment. It's not that the little Albert himself had innate something that he conditioned himself to. All right, so what's the conditioned stimulus now?
The loud noise?
The loud noise. So the child hears the loud noise, he gets scared. So now we're talking about the two types of responses, unconditioned response and conditioned response. And what are they?
The unconditioned response would be the child not crying, I believe, and then the conditioned response would be crying after hearing the bell.
Right. Or you could say that it's possible that the same kind of response was possible in both cases, like in the case of the dog or the cat. In this case, we could say that originally little Albert was not afraid of the white animals. So that would be unconditioned response. It's neutral. There's nothing going on until it got paired, and then the conditioned response became fear, and the child was crying. Okay, can somebody say whether this kind of study would be approved today?
It wouldn't be approved because they never like unconditioned him to be afraid. They never like went back and tried to like make them not afraid of the white of the little fluffy.
Well, actually, you
need
could.
Like permission, right?
I'm learning out of the classes that they never actually went back to try and make them not afraid.
They didn't. We don't really know all the details of, because in those days, you can imagine, it was almost 100 years ago. In those days, there was not really that much of recording in terms of what they were doing. But today, the
requirements,
right, the Institutional Review Board would actually allow you to have an experiment like this if, what is this if? Who can
parents'
speculate?
consent.
Parents' consent is not going to be enough. What would be the conditions under which today's IRB, Institutional Review Board, would allow an experiment like this?
It's a very important outcome, like something dangerous or something.
Yes.
That they're trying to stop.
Yes. If the outcome of the experiment is so profoundly important that we could try to then undo the damage to the participant, but the participant's reaction would create, like perhaps you know that many biomedical researchers who are working on vaccine today are vaccinating themselves, right? That's dangerous, right? You don't know what the result will be, but you're doing this because you think that the knowledge you will gain sort of outweighs the damage that may come to you as a participant in this study. You know that, I don't know if you know that, but Russian President Putin, who has a bunch of children, had one of his daughters vaccinated with the Russian vaccine last week, saying, look, of course she's an adult, he's saying, if I allow my daughter to be vaccinated, I believe that the vaccine is good. Trying to convince the Russian people to get vaccinated against COVID after just the second phase of clinical trials. Everywhere in the world, all the teams that are developing vaccine are going through the entire, at least 3 stages of testing. That's why it takes so long. The last question from that activity. Did anybody
Sorry, I just
look?
had a question.
Go ahead, Isaac.
I was thinking that the unconditioned stimulus is the loud noise. Is that not?
No, think about it. You can imagine a situation. Let's see if somebody can help you or I can help you. What would be a natural situation where there is a loud noise that can be scary?
Child gets
Everything.
annoyed or cries.
Well, something easier. Anybody has a scaredy cat dog would know.
It jump.
Like
Thunder, yes, Amar, yes. Think about thunder, thunderstorm. Fireworks, yes. Well, fireworks are not very natural, but but thunderstorm, I mean, there are dogs, especially younger pups, who are just terrified. So in this case, Isaac, that noise would be unconditioned stimulus. In the case of little Albert, just being introduced with these white, I have scaredy catfish that jumps when people walk by them. Catfishes. Yes, good. So technically, yes, a loud noise that happens in the environment could be unconditioned stimulus, but not in the case of little Albert, right? Because in the case of little Albert, the loud noise was paired with the white animal by the experimenters. Little Albert's response to the white animals was neutral, but it just happens to be so. In some other child, it could have been fear. Yes, Isaac, you see the point?
No, I'm still confused. I don't understand. There's an unconditioned stimulus and a conditioned stimulus, right?
Yes.
So
but
unconditioned stimulus is not learned. It's just like a reflex?
Unconditioned stimulus is something that the organism is wired to respond to. So being hungry leads an organism to look for food, right? Thirst leads the organism to look for water. So why would somebody look for a loud noise? You see what I mean? All I'm saying is that the loud noise can be both unconditioned stimulus and conditioned stimulus. Unconditioned stimulus is when it happens in the environment and the organism is wired to avoid scary situations. And the loud noise obviously can create a scared situation. But not in the case of little Albert. In the case of little Albert, the conditioned stimulus was the white animal. And only when the white animal was paired with the loud noise, in this case, loud noise as the classical as conditioned stimulus, the child developed fear. Does it make sense, Isaac?
It just made sense, and then you just switched it. The conditioned stimulus is the animal, right?
In unconditioned stimulus was animal, yep.
The unconditioned.
Mm-hmm.
But
and only when unconditioned
stimulus. But he was fine with it. But
yes.
the Albert was fine with it.
Right, but it's possible. You can imagine another child who would be scared of a rat. It could.
But in this case, it was the unconditioned stimulus, no?
Right. It was unconditioned stimulus, and he was not afraid of it. He was neutral.
I meant conditioned. He was neutral.
It takes time to think about these events. You just say, what was the child's reaction to, and then you have two options. You have either the child's reaction to the animal or the child's reaction to the noise. And you see what precedes what? The temporal difference. The introduction of the animals by the experimenters was before the loud noise, right? So the introduction of the animal is unconditioned stimulus, although it is, the other people are giving it to the child, but it's kind of there. But the pairing with the noise is the classical conditioning step, and therefore the noise becomes conditioned stimulus. And then they take away the animal, right? And then they take away the noise, and the child is afraid of the animals now because he expects the noise and he's afraid of the noise. Okay, the last question in that activity was, did anybody find out what happened to the little Albert? Did he have to go through psychotherapy for the rest of his life? Uh-huh. Yes, Karen did the assignment. So she says that an article was published that showed that the little Albert died at the age of 6. So we don't know whether he ever developed the kind of fear that would require him to get unconditioned, so to speak, for the rest of his life. If you're interested in this kind of stuff, in learning and behavior, we do have a class, the lab class, that you might consider, which is PSY288, and it is called Learning and Behavior. So when you get to the point that you are ready to take a lab, hey, you have 4 choices, but this is one of them where you would have to work with a pigeon. In our 116 lab, we have Skinner's cameras, actually, Skinner's boxes in 116, where you can train a pigeon to dance and to peck and to turn and to flap his wings, whatever pigeons do when you classically condition them, or you can also do operant conditioning with the pigeons. We are one of the very, very few places in this country where you can actually do a class with live animals. So, but of course I would advertise PSY330, which is cognitive psychology, cognition and perception, which will be basically a deep involvement with some of the topics that we will cover in this class. So this class is an excellent preparation for 330, cognition and perception. All right, let's see, where are we? Back to activities. I am in particular very impartial to no pigeons this semester. Yes, unfortunately. And perhaps you don't know that yet, but we have already been told that the spring classes are going to be all online as well. Did you guys know that? Supposedly there may be some option. Yeah, no way. I can hear you. I have the same. Maybe some hybrid options, but they don't know. Most likely everything is going to be online again. Anyway, coming back to language, I mentioned in my lecture Noam Chomsky, who is now retired. He's in Arizona, but he used to be at MIT, the living legend. I mean, he's also known as a political scientist, but for us in cognitive psychology, he is one of the most important figures in cognitive psychology. Does anybody have either your own young children, or maybe have younger siblings or nieces, nephews, somebody around the age of 2, 2.5?
Yeah, I have a niece that is 1 year and a half.
Yeah, fantastic. So the Chomsky's point is, yeah, me too. Okay, good. The Chomsky's point is that children produce sentences or words that they have never heard from their parents. I'm sure that, I mean, I can relate it from the experience of other mothers, that we never say things like, I hate you, to our children, but our children say, I hate you, Mom, on occasions. So one of the points that Chomsky has made was that language is not like stimulus response. It's not classical conditioning. It's not operant conditioning. It's not conditioning at all. It's something that requires us children who learn the language to be actively involved in the process. That means that we are putting something in between stimulus and response, which is our own mind allowing us to learn one language, and in the case of many of you guys, 2 or more. Lana told us she speaks 5. That's great. I mean, somebody speaks 5 languages. And that brings us to the last point, which is our cognitive revolution. And that led to this blend of classical cognitive psychology with neuroscience. Now, in this class, we will do a little bit of neuroscience next week, week 2. But if you really want to learn more about neuroscience, I mean, we have a standard pair of classes, 232, 239. The one that's closest to us is 232 because it is about cognitive systems. 239 is more about motivation. If you listen to the lecture 0, I talked about the difference between knowledge, desire, and motivation. The classical cognitive psychology is only concerned with knowledge, how we acquire it, how we store it, how we use it. And the 239 so 232 is parallel to 288, but with a sort of neuroscience flavor, more about the brain. But 239 is different because it is about motivational systems in humans. Okay, the last thing that I want to talk to you about is what is due next week. So let's go to share screen. So I'm going to weekly schedule now. And here, going to today's week at the bottom of that folder. Yes, we have the homework assignment for week 2. Now asking you to read chapter 2, the cognitive neuroscience. Unfortunately, I don't have it. I cannot post it anymore. We have restrictions on what we can do. Hopefully that you're going to get the book. If worse comes to worse, you probably can read something else on the biological basis of cognition. It's, it's not really that different from anybody else's coverage. But of course, it would be better if you were to read chapter 2. Now you have to do quiz 1, and this quiz is graded, right? And it's available to you until 10 p.m. on Monday, which is the Labor Day. So maybe you want to do it a little earlier. Somebody sent me a message saying that his computer crashed, but unfortunately I wasn't able to do anything because I was away. Now this time I suggest you do it a little early. So if you need my involvement by clearing up your attempt and letting you redo the experiment if your computer crashes, you should do it ahead of time. That is, don't wait until 9:30 p.m. I'm asking you now to start collecting the data for experiment 1 using finding 5. We looked at it today, so hopefully it's not that difficult. And now you can start working with your partner if you want by downloading the article that you will need for your lab report 1. And that comes from the finding 5 on the left. And I specifically ask you to read 2 things: the introduction, experiment 2, and the general discussion. If you read the whole article, it's only about 8 pages long. It's good, but you don't have to. And I'm asking you to continue to accumulate your points by doing the activities that I will provide. So because the lecture is not going to be available until Tuesday, I guess I should make the activities available to you until Tuesday after. So that's going to be September 14th. Instead of having them being finished by Thursday, you can continue doing them by next week. How's that?
So the activities that would be like due today will be due Tuesday before that class.
Right. Well, normally I would ask you to do it before, but I guess it's not giving you enough time, right? So it's going to be, yeah, it's going to be maybe, no. So the last thing is, it's for Justin, there will be a live lecture on Tuesday. And at this point, every Tuesday, it's going to be a live lecture, but it's optional. If you come and participate, that is, be there. Hopefully we can do a couple of activities as well. You're going to get your 1 point participation. If you can't be there at all or not in some of them, then you won't get that point, but there will be other points that you can get. So I'm asking you as a last thing to think of accumulating at least 3 points in activities. You have another class overlapping with this one. How can it be? Justin. Oh, I mean, not a psychology class, something else. I see. All right, so then you'll listen to it at your own time and do activities when you can. I'm only saying that it's optional for those of you who can participate, who can come, and then you're going to get that 1 point of participation. I will go through your grades and have everything finished and done over the weekend because I have to catch up, but I will. Okay, guys, any other questions? Leroy, you have any question? You have a question?
Wait, so Professor?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
So
Justin.
is it okay if I could like join like only on Thursdays? Because like I'm trying to attend the overlapping class, right? I'm trying to join a live lecture on Tuesday for that class, and then for your class, I'll join on Thursday.
Yeah, that's not a problem. You won't be getting any points from attending the lecture, but you can get them in many other ways.
You're still going to record the lecture, right?
Absolutely. Yes, I will,
so
and I will.
I'll listen to that definitely.
Good. Good. Okay, folks, then the class is over, and I'll see you, those of you who can, on Tuesday. There will be a separate Zoom link for that. Otherwise, I'll see you a week from today.
I just have a quick question.
Yes, Nick.
The Finding 5 experiment, when we do the experiment the first time, do we have to is there anything to submit, or we just do it?
You just do it. There's nothing else to know.
Okay.
Yeah, you just do it.
do it once?
Yes, you're only allowed to do it once, so you have to do it once.
Okay, sounds good. All right, thank you.
Okay, everybody. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Take care.
Professor?
Yes, Justin.
So when will I have someone to work with? By next week? Should I just look at their instructions?
Right. Yes. So my suggestion, Justin, is to see who has posted anything, either in introduction or in the blogs. If you see, I can tell you who is left, who is eligible. Do you want to write down the names? So Michal, M-I-C-H-A-L. Denise, that's easy, right? Parker. Simon.
Okay, so there's like a few of them. I'll take a look at it if they posted or not.
Right. See if these people are. Simon keeps emailing me, so I think he's okay. Michal was present last time, but not today. The same about Denise. Don't know about Parker.
So
Ari. Yeah, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people who haven't paired with anybody. So choose any of them. Okay. And you know how to email them. The first name dot the last name at CIX dot.
Yeah, and if they do come next week, then I'll just,
Yeah. You just tell me that you have partnered with whoever. and I will create a group for you.
Okay.
Professor?
Yes, Noor.
Um, so I haven't done the activity for today because your class didn't show up on my Blackboard until like yesterday night, and I had a class at night from 7 to 10 p.m. So I couldn't do it.
If these activities are open, let me check. I can't tell you immediately. I have to look. You can still do them. So I'm not going to waste your time and my time. Look, so go to week 1, right? The one that we're in today. Click on activities folder and you will see 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 activities. If any of them is available, do them. If they're not, you can email me and I'll reopen it for you. I'm not doing it right now, but I will do it if you need me to. Okay?
All right. Thank you, Professor.
Sorry, Professor. Can I talk to Professor?
Yes, please.
Have a good day.
I have some situation with Noor. I got the access to the Blackboard today, and I also need a time to complete everything. So
okay, do the same, Lana. Look at the activities in week 1. Do you have access to the Blackboard now?
Yes, I got it today. Yes.
Good. So if the activities are open, you can do them. And if they're not open, you just have to email me and say, I want to do this activity. Can you reopen it? And I can do that. Okay.
And what about the book? So is it necessary to order the book because it takes time also as well?
The Google Doc will be necessary for sort of in-class activities and your work with your partner. So you have time. And so yes, you should create a Google Doc on Google Drive, and send me an invitation that will allow me to open it and edit it so I can write my comments.
Okay, so, and what about the book? It takes a time to get the book through the Amazon.
Well, what can I do? Yes, unfortunately, because you were not in class. I emailed all information a week before the classes started on August 20th. So
yeah, I know. It was late registration. Sorry, Professor. I know there is no excuse, but unfortunately it happens.
No, I'm not saying that you are to blame for that. I'm just saying that, yes, at this situation, you enrolled late. So now we have to wait. For the coming test, anything that has to do with the biological basis of cognition is well written in other books. So you can try to use another book or even just online chapter. Unfortunately, like I say, I cannot post anything more. I could only post chapter 1, which I did. Yeah, you can read that and then read something else. Maybe you can find, I'm not saying that, maybe you can find this book on torrent. At least Russians are good at that.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor. Have a nice day. Thank you.
You too.